Hello, it's me again. I might be talking very low because I'm so anxious right now because I'm outside filming with like a fuck ass tripod and a camera, like a whole setup. Oh wow, it's windy. Feels quite nice actually. Supposedly there's supposed to be a lunar eclipse. I had no idea such a thing was happening. But I see that as a good omen for me trying new things. So for today's video, I want to talk about a little bit about film photography and how that's been going for me as someone who started off mainly just doing a lot of digital photography. That's like how I learned how to take photos in general, is with a digital camera. And I decided to do it outside because, like, why not? And, I usually take a lot of my pictures outside, especially film photos. I like taking a lot of landscape film photos. So right now I'm just, like, at a random park. It's nice, though, because it was, like, 10 minutes away from me. So that's pretty cool. But, yeah. So, like, a little bit about my, like, photography background in general. I started off in photography my sophomore year of high school is when I started taking photography. I dropped out of one of my ACE classes because I was just like, yeah, this is for me and I'm struggling a lot mentally and I don't want to take this class. So I decided to drop the class and I was able to get into a photography class last minute because at the time, I've always been a pretty creative kid. I've always really liked art and stuff like that, so I really wanted a creative class, and photography was one of those things I had always wanted to try. So there was like 2 spots left open in the class and I was able to get in. I really loved learning how to use a camera. I think that's kind of like where it started in general. That scared the fuck out of me. I think I really loved the technical aspect of it at first because it was just like the physical sensation of having like this weight in your hands and like the mechanisms and the sounds that it would make. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say about like why I liked it initially, but I don't know, like it felt so powerful holding this little object that can like capture images. So I really loved that about it, and like I had to really work hard at developing my skills compositionally because I was still a beginner, and like for the most part I had only really like drawn stuff, and even then I wasn't doing anything elaborate. So in photography, it's actually where I actually kind of learned like the art fundamentals, like shape, line, color, form, all those kinds of things. And I learned obviously about like the rule of thirds. There's probably other stuff that I'm missing. It's been a while since I was last in a photography class, but I really couldn't tell you. I have to consistently relearn what f-stop means because I just like forget. Like I know how to use a camera. Like I shoot mainly on manual, but when it comes to like, if I were to have to like teach a photography class, I'm not sure if I could. TBH. I'm like, yeah, I just make sure the settings look good, right? Like I know. Okay, let's not get into that. And I really loved photography. It was just so fun to me. It was such an interesting medium to me. And I also really loved like learning Photoshop and like doing different effects or editing cool ways or cool styles. Like we learned a lot of stuff, and I'm honestly grateful for having that experience. Like I literally went all the way up to taking like ace photography in high school because I loved it so much. I also was in yearbook. Yes, I was in yearbook. I was co-editor in chief actually. But I also loved that aspect as well, like taking action photography. It's not my favorite thing. That's why I don't think I could really do like sports photography or like event photography. It's low-key really stressful, and it's low-key like I'm not interested in it. So it was just kind of like I loved the yearbook, but my goodness, having to go out to those football games sometimes was literally a drag. But fast forward a bit to college. I decided to major in studio art, and with my studio art program, you can specialize in different sectors. I didn't specialize in photography because at the time I wanted to go to film school, right? Like, I wanted to be in filmmaking, and it was 2021, so it was a weird time to be applying to colleges, and I was just also not really feeling it. So I only applied to like 3 colleges, and only one of them really was like a film program college, like a film school, or actually had like a film program. But I got rejected, which made sense. It's like one of the top film schools in Florida, so it made sense. And I didn't really have a lot of work to show for it at that time. I did video, but at my program, I also took photography classes. I mainly took photography classes my last 2 years of college. It was so interesting because I had learned to use like studio equipment and stuff in high school, but with college, they've got more funding, I guess you could say. It wasn't a super well-funded program by any means, but it definitely, you had access to a lot of things, and we had access to a space that was like a studio space, and I really got to learn a lot about like using studio space and using lightings and hooking up your camera to the system, taking photos, like all of that stuff was really fun. I also made a photo book while I was in a photography class, and I thought that was super cool. Like, I think honestly that's like probably my favorite photography thing that I've done is like make that photo book. I want to eventually make another one again. There just really isn't a demand for it, so I'd probably be making it really for myself, but it was sick. I thought it was cool. I actually have a video if you guys want to watch it. I had to film a video flip through for that class, so I ended up just uploading it on my YouTube randomly. It probably has like 8 views right now or something, but I'm really proud of that book and what it meant to me, and it really taught me how expressive I could be with photography, because I feel like I mainly stayed within the branches of like doing cool editorial style pictures or editorial style kind of concept, but there wasn't really any deep meaning behind the photos I was taking. It was more so just like a pretty picture to be a pretty picture kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, the book's called A Quiet Desperation. It was made at a time where I was feeling very sad about various things, mainly relationships with people. I think that's what a lot of my work, my video work, my film work, my photography, all of that is usually encapsulating my struggles with personal relationships in my life, whether they be romantic or platonic. So I made that book in response to a lot of those feelings I was feeling about it, and it was really important for me to make, and I still love and cherish that book forever and always. After that year, it was like 2 semesters, I took a photography class back to back, and after that I hadn't touched my camera for like taking photography. I hadn't like done photography related things in like 2 years. I'm sorry guys, there's like a bunch of bugs like trying to eat me alive right now. I'm gonna get back home and I'm gonna be filled with bites, but it's okay. Anything for the vine. I'm just kidding, not anything for the vine. Low-key, I might move because I'm low-key dying. I'm gonna move. So where was I? But yeah, so after like that 2 semesters those 2 semesters I had a photography class. I hadn't picked up my camera to do any like photography related stuff in a while. I had like projects here and there, but they weren't anything I was super like excited to do per se. Mainly just like people being like, hey Maya, can you take pictures for me? And I'm like, okay, of course, you know. Film photography is genuinely for myself. Like, I can for sure say that film photography, like picking up a film camera and taking photos with it, has genuinely just been for myself. I've not made a single dime off of film photography, and I don't know, it felt like a really fun, new, fresh, and exciting way to go about this form that I'd previously learned in a different manner. My film camera isn't like one of those like crazy fancy metal ones like the Minoltas. It's actually very similar to a digital camera. My first camera was a Canon camera, so it's kind of nostalgic to me. Like, the first camera I bought and the first camera I learned on was a Canon camera. I switched to Sony eventually because I wanted to like make films with my own camera. But I have the Canon Rebel 2000, Canon Rebel EOS 2000, whatever. It's just a neat little camera. I mean, nothing too crazy about it. I definitely think like if you want to ever take film photos, this is like the perfect camera to start with, because you can adjust the settings and make it like very easy to use. Like, you don't have to only shoot on manual, which I think a lot of older models or like a lot of the more classic film cameras, you can only shoot on manual. Don't shoot me if that's wrong, but that's kind of something I feel like I've seen, is usually you can only shoot on manual, hence why there's a learning curve when learning how to shoot on film, because you really have to know those settings. Like, you really have to know your f-stop, your shutter speed, all these things, all these beautiful things, your iOS, you know. You have to know kind of what settings to be at, because you can't see your photo. There's no back screen to this. You can't see your photo when you take it, so it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen until you actually develop your film. And I think that's what made film photography so fun to me, is the fact that I never know what it's gonna come out to look like. Like, yes, I've got the settings and I've, you know, seen the thing in person, but there's a whole different vibe and aura to seeing a film photo that you've taken. It's like, I don't know, it's like you've seen that thing in person, you've taken the photo, like, you know what it looks like, and it's just kind of like, I don't know how it works, I don't know how it does it, but it just transforms the image in some way. Like, some magical thing is happening inside here that just like brings something out of it. I never had any interest in film photography initially. I loved shooting digital, and like I really loved messing with the image in Photoshop, and I don't know, I just wasn't interested in film photography. Also, film photography, everyone knows, is a very expensive, it's not a very expensive, but it's one of the more expensive hobbies to have, because with film photography you've got to buy film and then you've got to develop film, and that can get pretty pricey. So it's not really a super accessible way to do photography as compared to a DSLR, like a digital camera. You just have an SD card, you can take photos with like forever essentially. But with film, it's just kind of like you get your 36 photos and that's it, really, or however many photos that film roll has. What more is there to say? Honestly, I didn't write any. I'm so bad at this. I'm like, I never write a script for these videos. I just kind of like go off the rip, go off the dome. I mean, I feel like it's more authentic that way. It's more raw that way. And like I I know myself, I'm not gonna follow a script. Like, I have my journal in front of me, pretending like I'm like referencing it or whatever, but there's like nothing in here. There's like ideas of like other stuff, but nothing about the actual topic of this video. I find myself using my film camera mainly for like special events. If I'm going to a special place, or if I'm hanging out with special people, aka my friends and family, or if I'm at a special event, I bring my film camera with me. Those are the only times I really bring it with me, and therefore it makes it even more special, because it's just like all those photos are genuine memories I have, and it's not something that's just like on my phone and, you know, eventually gets deleted. It's kind of like this thing that I can print. I really want to start scrapbooking again. I think that'd be really cool. I've been taking a lot of film photos of my friends and like places I've been to, and I haven't printed out any of them, and I think that's my next step, is to print out a lot of my film photos, because there's, you know, they're pretty cool, and I want to like curate, like, or not really curate, I don't know if that's the word for it, but I want to like put all of them into like a photo album, you know, like your family photo album, how you have a bunch of film photos or whatever. That's what I want to do with my film photos, because they just mean so much to me. And it's so lovely. It's really a lovely medium, and I truly am excited for the photos to come from my film photography journey. I'm still pretty new at it. I mean, I've had my phone camera for maybe a year now, but like I said, I don't really use it often. I only use it for certain occasions, and I kind of plan to keep it that way. I mean, I want to take a lot more landscape type photography with my film photo. I think landscape and nature photography looks really good on film, especially like color film, like Kodak 400 or something like that. It's delicious. I love it. But I think that is kind of where I'm heading towards. If you like this video of me yapping, please consider liking and subscribing, and honestly even commenting. Come on guys, I want to hear whatever you have to say about film photography or photography in general, or like if you have any questions about getting into photography. You know, I have been doing this for a while, even though I'm sorry I said that I don't know what an f-stop was. I was joking. I consider myself to be pretty informed about photography. I've been doing it for a while, and I've done it for various circumstances, so it's genuinely a topic I enjoy to talk about, and it's a topic that I enjoy to talk about with other people. So if you got anything to say, don't be shy, don't be afraid, leave me a comment. But if you want to see more videos of me, my life, my work, my art, please consider subscribing. Bye. Also guys, I'm really bad at this. I'm just kidding, I'm not bad at this. I am amazing, beautiful, wonderful, talented cover girl. Ugh. Also, I'm gonna have like a million bug bites, but it's okay. Anything for the vine.